warriors take the stand. From shore to shore we reclaim the land. Grit and glory in every strand. In Jersey Shore we make our stand.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Jersey Shore podcast. That is SURE, Shore, because we are always sure. And tonight we're diving into part two of a conversation that every parent, every taxpayer, and every New Jerseyan needs to hear, not just in New Jersey, but across the country in case it's going on in your state as well. Joining us again is my friend and fearless fighter for parental rights, Nicole Stouffer from the New Jersey Project. Last time we exposed what most politicians in this state won't even whisper about, the sexualization and indoctrination of our kids inside New Jersey classrooms. And let me say this again. I don't care what adults do in their private lives when they're older, but when teachers and government bureaucrats think they can sexualize children before they can tie their own shoes, then we have a problem, and I have a problem, and you should have a problem with it as well. I mean, tonight we're going deeper. We're talking about how the state doubled down on these extreme curriculum standards, how Policy 5756 still gives schools the power to socially transition children behind the parents' backs, and how the fight for our kids has now become a fight for the very soul of the state. Now, and if you think government overreach stops at the schoolhouse door, think again, because in segment 3, I'm going to talk about, something every homeowner knows too well, HOAs. This is my personal battle with my HOA where I live, but we'll transition into it. We'll segue right into that. So mine just jacked up fees beyond inflation, blamed it on the new state law, refused transparency while pretending that they're doing us a favor. And the more I dig into it, the more it looks like the same problem we're seeing in schools: unacceptable boards, hidden agendas, and zero respect for the people that are supposed to serve. So whether it's your child's classroom or your own front yard, the pattern seems the same. Too much power, not enough honesty, and ordinary people being squeezed and silenced and steamrolled by people who think that they're better. And I'm tired of it. But here on the New Jersey Shore, SURE, we expose it, we challenge it, and we fight back. Nicole Stouffer joins me right now, and we're starting right where we left off, the ongoing indoctrination of the New Jersey kids and the parents fighting like hell to stop it. And I have a secret special guest joining us, and I'll bring her on right after I bring on Nicole. So, but I missed the breaking news. I got to get to that. So the breaking news, I'm sorry I skipped it because I went right into that monologue. So it's a big important thing that monologue in this episode is. But what's more important, happy birthday to Debbie Faust, my mother-in-law. So today is her birthday, and I hope you're watching right now. And sorry I went with the monologue first. I was supposed to do that first, but happy birthday. I will not say how old you are, out of respect, because I know women don't like that. But happy birthday. So we will go into our first segment, and our first segment is called Will the Indoctrination Continue? So let's bring on our guest, Nicole Stouffer from the NewJerseyProject.org right here. She was one of the founders of it. Nicole, thank you for coming on again and talking to the listeners and educating people about this. And as always, the great Elena Barbera from the Base Mother. And so I thought this would be a great, I asked Elena last minute to come on because I thought these two would have, they're two mama bears, and they would have a great conversation about all this stuff. And even when I say great conversation, it's not good stuff that we're talking about. It's just a good conversation to have for informed people. So Nicole, what do you got for us to start off? What do you want to start with?
Well, I wanted to start out is what the heck's going on in schools. People kind of don't understand exactly why they're pushing all of this types of stuff. They'll see things in their school and they'll think, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. And everything's pushed from a perspective of race or gender or economic status. And you can see it within the New Jersey state standards. And you wonder why these things are happening, like why these agendas are pushed. And I'm going to begin with a slide presentation that basically delves into that. It's a pedagogy. Actually, it's part of a pedagogy, which is the way you teach children something or how to learn. That education is liberation. You want kids to be liberators. So you introduce some sort of negative problem to them, like women don't make as much money on the dollar as men do, or transgender people commit more suicides because they feel unwanted in the situation. Racial injustice, climate injustice, any sort of economic, why some people are poor. So you introduce some sort of a negative new idea, something that's bad. And then you draw the kid in by asking the kid, well, how could you relate to this in your way? Are you oppressed? So they want you to bring in this experiment, this personal experience into you to make it personalized to you. And then the kids think they need to be liberated. They need to be freed from this oppression. So they come up with a solution. The teacher guides them because they're just children, to come up with a solution. And then they take action on this solution, and they start a liberation. And then you join in on your activist cause. And when it's all over, then you introduce some other new problem. And it creates little social justice warriors. In addition, it gets kids invested in an idea or a historical concept, something, so that they can feel personally related to it and that they're fighting for it. And it's part of the Paulo Freire regenerative theme. This is a pedagogy that a friend of mine learned in graduate school about 30 years ago that she didn't think would ever be used. And here it's what's happening today. So there's another slide that explains, the types of people that need to be liberated, or the idea. So if we go to the next slide.
Yeah, let's go to that one. And I want to get your opinion on it, Lena.
What the wheel of privilege, power and privilege. So this is everything's look through the end of those who have power and those who don't have power, those who are oppressed and those who are not oppressed. And that's in the lens. So in the center, you have the people who have power. They break people up into these different bins so that you can decide who has the power and who doesn't have the power. So if you look there, gender, you have on the outside is they don't have power. They're marginalized, trans, intersex, non-binary. And then they go, well, the next one that's less oppressed is cisgender women, and then cisgender men. And of course it's just men and women, but they have to put a qualifier in front of it to separate them from the other groups, to make sure there's trans and cis, so that we know that there's different groups, and the trans are oppressed and the cis are not oppressed. They're the oppressors. And then then you go to language, because we're in America, we speak English. So now you have power if you speak English, but you don't have power if you speak another language like Spanish. But I'm pretty sure you have the power in, say, Mexico if you're speaking. I'm not going to get far in Mexico not having 2 years of high school Spanish. And these are the things like body size, mental health, neurodiversity, and of course, everybody's favorite race. You have the oppressed race people who are always non-white, and then the oppressed, which would be, brown and black people, which, honestly, if you look at people, there's array of different types of people. You can't just slice it down the center of that. And this is the wheel. You've got ability, sexuality, neurodiversity, mental health, body size, housing, whether you are unhoused, that new term, or you're living in a home, you're poor or wealthy, your gender and your citizenship, which is another idea that they're fighting, right? How people don't have citizenship. How can we fight for all of these people who entered the country to have citizenship? And how dark your skin is. Next slide.
Wait,
I want to go to Elena on this right now.
Can we hang out here for a sec?
Yeah, I want to go to you, Elena, because the reason why I'm so glad you're on, because I was going to go all Seth on this. You know how Seth is. So I was going to lose my mind after seeing this.
Well, it just makes me sick. It's like who they want to give power to. So the people on the outside without the power. So they want the transgenders who don't have a grip on biological reality to have more power and decision-making ability in our society. They want the mentally ill on the outskirts to have more power and decision-making ability in our society. We could go around this whole circle, not to mention just the mental mind-bending, mind-poisoning perspective that this gives to children. To make them think that some of these powerless people should have any power at all, because they are not necessarily. Now, the disabled, yes, I mean, it depends on their disability if they belong in a seat of power. I'm sorry. If you're mentally disabled to the point where you're not functioning, yes, you should be treated with the utmost human respect. You're still made in the image of God, but you absolutely shouldn't be, voting, in Congress. I mean, it is absolutely crazy how they're twisting reality and also creating biases when they remember it was only a few years ago that they were saying biases are bad. And now they are deliberately pushing bias on children from pre-K up. I have books about for 2-year-olds here on my bookcase, dividing people up by skin color, saying white people are bad, saying that gender norms are bad, and making it look like that white cisgender male is the worst possible thing you person walking around, and you should be afraid of him. This is a poison on our society, and they've done a very good job of getting us fighting among ourselves over this nonsense while they continue to gain, ironically, power.
And that's the whole point of Marxism, isn't it? To get, the proletariat fighting the bourgeoisie. But we don't really have classes like that. So they had to make these classes and just say, well, if you're dark, you're disenfranchised. If you're black, you are marginalized and you can't get anywhere and you have no power. But I remember having a black president. So I don't exactly know how you can have no power if you're dark. You absolutely can. There's CEOs, there's brain surgeons, there's all kinds of black people who live successful, flourishing lives. I don't know why they have to be pinholed in the marginalized group when, they can have just as much power. And women too. There's plenty of powerful women. I mean, I don't know how it is in anybody else's marriage, but I pretty much have the power here.
Yeah, it's all lies.
Yeah, it's all ridiculous, the whole idea, but they have to create these groups because they feel, and this social justice is just all over everything. It's just painted all over everything. Did you want to say anything else? Do you want to move on to the next one?
I just want to add a small point about how it's ironic that they say power is bad and it's evil, and all these people who have power are evil and power corrupts, but they want power. All they say is, but we want power too. They don't, as usual, they make no sense.
It's the destruction of the United States of America. And like I said to you before, Nick, I go back to January 10th, 1963. It was the Communist Manifesto that Congress brought up to crush the United States from within, because you're not going to get to us from the outside. We're surrounded by vast oceans and all that stuff. But if you look at all that, if anybody out there, and listeners, by the way, you can like and subscribe, and also you can comment if you're watching on X and Rumble or YouTube, whatever it may be, whatever social media platform. You can ask a question if you have a question about any of this. But January 10th, 1963, and I learned that from Ben Carson. I remember in an interview, and he brought it up, and I had no idea what it was. I thought it was like, what was it? Kennedy assassination? I'm like, no, that's not the time frame. But I looked it up, and it's like, somewhere around like 50 ways to destroy America from within. And if you guys read it, everything is happening right now. That it's a playbook.
You can see that. I mean, even just with the body positivity ideas, we have morbidly obese women being supermodels. They're models, and it's not that they're ugly or there's something wrong with their body. Is they're not healthy. And of course, the wafy, heroin chic models that we used to have weren't healthy too. Isn't there something in the middle that is just healthy, a healthy looking person to be a model instead of somebody who adopts either extreme lifestyle choices of being incredibly unhealthy thin or unhealthily large? But no, we got to be body positivity and be.
Well, and think about this, and I might catch flack for this from the listeners, and I'm sorry if I do. But when you are an attractive, I don't have to be skinny, but healthy woman, not morbidly obese, men don't want that. So you're stopping. I know I don't anyway, but I wouldn't want that. I mean, I understand people have medical issues that could push them that way, but when you promote it, and you're going to have a lot less procreation, I would say. And I don't want to be, I don't want people to get
I'll
mad at
say
me.
it. I'll say it. I'll say what you're going to say, okay?
That's how I brought you on.
I'm not saying.
No. Neither of you don't have to say it. I'm going to say what Damon is too nice to say, and it's like there are natural tendencies of attraction that they cannot undo. They can just tell us that Michelle Obama is the most beautiful first lady that we've ever had as many times as they want, and it doesn't make it real or true, and it doesn't mean that people sitting at home are going, yeah, she's so pretty. It has nothing to do with her skin color at all.
You see that with Barbara Bush. She was all right. Like
Barbara Bush was an all right average. She was actually pretty cute, a cute girl, probably cute as a younger girl, But I mean, they're trying so hard to convince us that Kamala Harris's stepdaughter is beautiful, and we know objectively that most people don't look at her, and she's not stopping the show when she walks into a room at a party. That's just the reality. And they're trying, like everything else, men can get pregnant and all these absurd things that are just simply not part of human nature. They're trying to buck nature and human nature and convince us that up is down and down is up. And it's just foolishness. And also on top of it, where you started, Nikki, it is completely unhealthy to praise someone for being 150, 200 pounds overweight.
yeah.
We're not making fun of you because you're fat, because of how you look. We're worried that you're going to drop dead at 30 years old.
Yeah, I'm worried that you're going to get sick and you're going to get cancer and you're going to have a heart attack. I worry about all those things that you're taking 20 years off your life. I'm not really worried about how you look. I'm worried about how your function is going to be and how your life's going to be.
Exactly. Anyway, did I say it?
You said it right. You said it right. I didn't want to be the bad. Listen, I know I was going to catch.
I don't mind being the bad guy.
But no, I don't mind being the bad guy either. But I didn't know how to put it out there. Like I'm a guy, and that doesn't sound right coming from me. But you think about it,
it's not just male attraction to females. I know we have to move on, but it's also like everybody. Like I look at women, and I'm not attracted to them sexually, but I can look at a woman and be like, wow, she's gorgeous. Just the way, a man can. And well, no, not the way a man can.
It's a little bit different. Actually, women are incredibly more critical. So it's way more impressive if a woman tells you you're pretty.
I can appreciate, yes. And I can appreciate beauty is what I'm saying. And there is a general universal,
and that is in that Communist Manifesto there is to eliminate beauty and beautiful artwork and put statues up that are that are hideous. I mean, it's all in there.
That explains modern architecture too. Okay, let's get back.
Right.
Nick,
I'll turn it back over to you.
We're doing the slow march through the institutions, and education's an institution that they're ruining with this Marxist slow walk through the institutions, wrecking everything as they go along. And so that's what's happening here. I mean, all we do is talk about all this wheel of nonsense. I told my son the other day. So all we do is talk about it and over focus on it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see it everywhere. You could go to the next slide now. I'm not going to go back, I promise. So we have social justice in our health standards, and actually overall in all of the standards, because they want to focus on sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, differing ability, whether you're disabled or you're abled, immigration status, and family configuration. I mean, these are the things that they're teaching in school. It's part of the pedagogy. It's part of the way that schools present the information, all through this social justice lens. You can go to the next slide. And then now, thanks to Tammy Murphy, now we have climate justice. Yay! So now we have to infuse climate into every subject, even math. And here it is in gym or dance, where they try to collaborate. This is actually from the NewJersey.gov page, where they collaboratively investigate global issues, including climate change, to inform the development of original dance project. So they're going to dance for climate change. That's how they're going to do their justice. That's how they're going to reach the final. They're going to be liberated. The kids are going to be liberated, and they're going to make change with their activist cause is through dance for global.
You know
It's
what?
just so-
Well, I mean, I don't know. Back in the day, I think Indians used to do the rain dances.
Yeah.
Is that what they're trying to do?
Maybe.
It,
I see
I
Peter
know.
Sykes just posted something up there.
I know it's in gym. We're going to do climate. Matt makes sure climate, and that's the way gender is right now. It's all throughout our curriculum in our math problems, because they'll say, well, there's 12 kids in the class. 3 are women, girls, and 2 are non-binary. How many boys are in the class? That's the way these math problems read, because they just shove it in every little angle and every little spot, and it's through the curriculum writers. It's even the stuff you get off online has it in there. I mean, it's all like just so infused within the schools. You have to watch about every little piece of material that you're going to present in school. You have to look for these things, and I'm sure the teachers aren't looking all the time at every little thing to fish it out for your kids. They're going to end up hitting something.
the problem
Even if
is
they don't agree with it.
a lot of districts around the country, they block the curriculum from the parents. They make it extremely difficult to find out what books your kids are reading, in every single subject. And we just earlier this year, we had Mahmoud v. Taylor, that the case out of Maryland that rose up to the level of the Supreme Court, because this school district was putting gender ideology in every single subject, and the parents said, we're going to opt out, and you're going to find an alternative activity or way to teach my child, because I don't want them in English, math, and science and history and this, because you've got gender ideology in it. And the school board said, we can't do that. It's too cumbersome. It rose up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said these parents absolutely have the right to opt out. So either take all this, you have choices, take all this crap out of your curriculum so you don't have to deal with religious parents opting out, or find an opt-out alternative. And I was very happy that precedent was set, but most parents don't even know that they have an opt-out
That's
option.
right.
I did not know that. My son is 22 years old. From kindergarten through 8th grade, he was in public school. After that, he was in Catholic school. And I never even knew, shame on me, that I could opt things out. And that very school where he went from K to 6 is now teaching gender ideology in kindergarten, and that is in Boston. And I find it so scary how uneducated we are as parents on not only what's happening, but on what our rights are, and how we can interact with the school using the law to our favor.
Yeah, and our new governor seems to think that she can just force this in every topic. She feels as though she is able to force LGBT, and I'm like, she can't. And she's a lawyer.
I don't know if we have that.
Listen to the Supreme Court decision. You're not allowed to do that. But
We have
in
that clip from last week.
whatever.
I don't know
But
if we
she
pull it up.
can.
Yeah, but if in New Jersey we do whatever, it would take a lawsuit to get rid of it. Like,
yeah, but she can put it in, but what the problem, if every parent opts out, let's teach parents about opting out. And
yeah, but they have to notify you too. That's part of the Supreme Court ruling. They have to let you know that it's somewhere in there. And if they don't let you know what's upcoming, how are you going to be able to opt out if you have no idea that what's coming?
yeah,
They have to tell you if it's a controversial topic, because how can you opt out of something you don't know exists? You have to hear it first.
Yeah, you're right about that.
yeah. Well, was
Mikey
it
Cheryl.
Mikey? Is it Mikey?
Mikey,
Mikey.
yeah.
It's
Mikey's trying to shove it in there.
Her name's Rebecca, but
You're going to make it confusing.
yeah,
Whatever.
well, that's her name. But I don't know where Mikey came from. But I see Pete
wants
just
it in.
posted something up there. So they're changing it to Hippocratic oaths in multiple medical schools as well throughout the country. And he posted a link up there. I don't know if that's what that is. What he was just talking about that, or what it might be. But that link that he just posted up there, it probably has something to do with what we're talking about.
And then we have our final slide. So what's really frightening is, like I was saying, that slow march through the institutions. These ideas, these types of these oppressor dynamic is in every college. It's in the state school board because they're the ones who created learning standards. So it's in every subject. The NJEA pushes it really, really hard. And I have a whole bunch of slides about the NJEA, the School Boards Association, the Administration Association, the National Association of School Principals, and the Library Association. They are all of these Marxist kind of ideas of this oppressor is all supported by all of these institutions.
Yeah, I'd like to add the Human Rights Campaign.
Yes.
And Parenthood have educational materials that start in elementary school that talk about sex, gender, abortion, and they are in schools in all 50 states.
New Jersey has those adopted. They actually were part of writing our standards, both of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I think we got to the end of this segment, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll go into the next hammer number 2 segment.
Ugh.
So.
The APN's The Pulse podcast is hosted by Alexandra Levine from the Alexandra Levine Life podcast. And Damon Galdo from the Jersey Shore podcast. And Seth Eisenberg from the Conservative Corner podcast. Also, there will be 2 additional guests on every episode. The Pulse is live every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hammer number 2. Here with 2 great women here. You got Nikki Stouffer, the head of the Nerds Project, and you have Lynn Barbera, podcaster, the base mother, always on the pulse with us and helps out a lot. 2 great women that are trying to keep the fight up for our children. So this segment is Policy 5756, the Betrayal of Parents. Now, 5756 was passed by, it was passed in the Murphy era.
2020.
Yeah, 2020. So again, if you want to dive into 5756 and let the listeners know what it's about.
Well, 5756 is the transgender policy in the schools, which was written in 2020, but only really rolled out until 2022. It took a little while for it to roll out. So this was implemented while everybody was sleeping, and it was based on the NJ LAD laws, which are really laws for employment, not really laws for children. And it's for non-discrimination, but it kind of turned into a crazy, nutty thing. So if we pull up the slide, I can show you what's going on with it right now. Not that one. Next second. That's the NJEA. So gender identity now is infused into every subject, including math, starting in kindergarten. So that's the way it does. And the 5756 policy now allows children at any age to decide to change their name and their pronouns in official school documents. Official. So it's not like they're just calling, because they said, well, what's wrong with calling a child a nickname? Nothing. But when you start changing things in their permanent school record, I believe that should take a parental authority to do that, not the child, because today they want to be called Sparkles because they saw a My Little Pony that they really liked. Sex education now is based on the gender preference of the student. So your boy who thinks he's a girl will be sitting in the girls' sex ed class learning about a uterus he doesn't have, a period he's never going to get. And that is his preference. And they don't have to tell you. He could be sitting in that class, not learning about his body, not learning about the things important to his maleness, and because he thinks he's a girl. So we're just going to fantasize about it the entire way and ignore the biological reality that this kid's eventually not going to have babies.
And can I just add, ignore the underlying mental health conditions,
yes,
the anxiety and the depression that are actually going to be the things that might kill that child.
Yes, and that's what makes this really nefarious, the entire thing, because now your child's allowed using the bathroom of their preference, which may not work out for them, because it's not like they might be, welcomed into that bathroom of their preference, and it might put them in danger. There was one case in New Jersey, I forget which school district, but it was a girl who felt as though she was a boy, and she kept on going into the boys' bathroom and getting bullied. And then the school would not let her use any other bathroom, which is ridiculous. I mean, I think that if you're uncomfortable being in any sort of group bathroom, you should be able to be given an accommodation. But, to force some girl into the boys' bathroom while she's getting beat up on there is a real problem. The girl did end up committing suicide. So we don't look at the actual problem that the children are going to. We put them in these situations where it's just making their mental health worse. And in addition, kids are allowed to be in the sport of their choice. They're allowed to be in clubs and activities of their choice, just based on their gender identity. And it's how they're feeling today, right? Because tomorrow they might switch back. So they can go back to the other, the other sports team if they want to.
So
And the worst part is they're creating two separate records so that parents won't find out. So if you go into the Genesis system, you will see the name that you gave the child and their pronouns in there. If the teacher's looking on the other end, they're going to see this. And we revealed this in many schools that are doing this right now. They'll hide from you what your gender is. They'll go through that much trouble to the point where you don't even know that's happening. And the most nefarious part of it is they keep this secret from parents, and it's currently in litigation. There was a girl who decided to transition to a boy in New Jersey, and I think it was in Cranberry. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember the name of the school district. And the father is currently suing because that was not the name that he gave his daughter. And during that time, the daughter was suffering from some depression because her mother had committed suicide. So she was under the care of a psychologist. And he only found out that they had changed his daughter's name when he went to a sporting event, and some other mom called the kid by a name that wasn't, and he's like, what's going on? And it turns out he finds out that she was a boy. They treated her like a boy. She's using the boys' room. And he said, that's no good. You need to stop. And the school wouldn't stop. And he said, she's under the care of a psychologist. You can't do this. Please don't do this. And they continue to allow this child to do this gender transition. And I want everybody to know that this isn't a medical transition. They're not giving kids drugs to transition. This is a social transition. Socially transitioning is where you live the life of the gender that you want to be until you can determine that this was for you, and then you medically transition. This is a psychological thing. This is something that a therapist should be engaged in. If not that I agree with that type of therapy, because there's all kinds of therapies I don't agree with, but that should be looked at by a psychologist, particularly one that's actually seeing the child and knows the child, not a school directing the gender transition. And that's why the father's suing the school. And hopefully he will win, and then we will eliminate this policy.
Well, I'm going to say this right now, then to you, Elena, and to you, Nikki, too. Elena, I know I told you I brought you on, so I wouldn't go all Seth, but I'm going further than Seth. I love Seth to death, and how he always gets amped up. I would tear the whole fucking world down if anybody tried to do this to my children or anyone else's children. I'm so tired of it. To manipulate children the way that they're doing it, I swear to God, I'd be in jail if that happened. I am lucky that in my school in West Effort, it's not happening right now. I know it's happening. Nikki, we're talking in Washington Township areas around here in New Jersey, all over New Jersey. But I'm lucky that my kids do talk to me. They tell me what's going on. I can see the curriculum. They email it to us. They talk to us. The teachers are transparent. And but if that ever happens here, like it's happening in 75% of schools in New Jersey, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I'll be in trouble. I'm going to tell you right now, I will definitely be in trouble because I will tear down the entire fucking building.
There's a lot of superintendents who have this policy in their school and don't follow it because they don't want because I mean, in my neck of the woods, they will show up at the Board of Education with literal pitchforks. So they don't implement it. So they say, well, this isn't happening in my school until it does, until your kid reaches high school or another grade, and then it is happening in their school. And you weren't prepared for it.
Just because it's not, an official policy of a school district also doesn't mean that it's not happening within certain schools, because those you said, that they're putting, say, for example, climate change into all the curriculum now and, creating social justice warriors. That's already happened to all the young teachers. They already went through that in high school and college. Teaching programs in college are actually very activism focused. there's not as much focus as there used to be on teaching methods, and there's more focus on how to create little social justice warriors. So they come in thinking they're going to teach your kids their morality, their worldview, not just how to, how to math. So that teacher, if she's employed in a district that isn't following this policy, may still be calling your little Gina Joey in secret.
Yes.
Even if the
Absolutely.
files aren't changed, even if the school's policy. So, you can't just say this isn't the policy in my school, so I can relax, because the teachers themselves are conditioned and determined to enact these kinds of things. This, I have to say, is in the big picture part of a one step in a slippery slope. So right now in New Jersey, the policy is, you can just socially engineer a child without their parents knowing. The next thing you'll see will be, you can also get that child hormone therapies without the parents' knowledge. That has happened all over the country, legally and illegally, where adults are helping children to hormonally, quote unquote, transition without parents knowing. This is also bigger picture, part of the slippery slope to normalize pedophilia. Everything they're doing is younger and younger and younger, letting children have agency over their own lives without parental input. And it is right down to, small children. And in this case here, it could be a kindergartner that has a secret identity. I haven't had the chance to dig into it yet. I just saw an article about how you should ask babies before you change their diaper. And all of that.
I read that article. I read that.
But I know, but it's laughable on the surface. But when you look at the big picture of how they're trying to take parents out of children's lives and how they're sexualizing children, it is all about saying that child can consent to sex with an adult. And I know I sound a little bit like a lunatic if you're hearing this kind of thing for the first time, but when you dig in and you see how many efforts there are to sexualize children, you will see that I'm telling the truth, and that is where we're headed, and we're almost there. Calling pedophiles minor attracted persons because pedophile is an offensive word. This is one step on that spectrum.
And I went through the last episode. I went through the New Jersey state standards. So the New Jersey state standards just completely validate what you're saying. They teach sex at a younger and younger age. They try to push intercourse on kids, starting, very, very young. And then by the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they have to define anal, oral, and vaginal sex. And in kindergarten, they actually have to define genitals. So you normalize sexuality at a very young age. You say, well, what's genitals? And so we can all discuss that in an open forum in the kindergarten class.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So it's already here. I mean, they already have been sexualizing the kids in school younger and younger.
It should just be, he's a boy, she's a girl. They don't need to know about all that stuff until they get older and they can understand it. It's disgusting. I don't know why. I mean, other than the fact what I talked about before, it's the destruction of the United States, its own purpose. That's the only thing I can think of, that they're trying to ruin the United States and take us down from within. Who else would promote this stuff? Who else would put this in schools? Who else would say this is okay? Who else would just keep going? It's just like a godless idea, and it just and like I always say, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. It's from Edmund Burke. But I want all the listeners and parents out there to listen to this stuff, because it's real. It's not something that we're just making up or anybody talks about here and there, and you don't hear on mainstream media. Well, you'll hear it on Fox here and there, but it's real. It's actually happening. And I mean, even a couple of years ago, when the guy's daughter got raped in the bathroom by a so-called transgender person, then he moved to another school and he did it again to a different girl. I mean, when is enough enough? When are we done with open borders and trafficking children? I mean, I just don't. I don't understand it. The perversion of all of it. It's just I'm at a loss of words. I really can't go into it any further other than the loss of words, because I would like I said, I would tear down the world for my children if something happened to them and any other child as well. I just can't get it. I don't think that way. I know you guys don't either. I don't know how people can even think that it's okay to teach this. Oh, it's all right. Let's teach your 6-year-old about anal sex. What? Are you kidding me? Like, why?
Sixth grader.
What? What's that?
Sixth grader.
12-year-old then. That's my
Yeah,
daughter.
you're 12.
If someone told my 12-year-old daughter, like, why? What are you talking about? Like, why would I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let it go there.
So my next sets a slide what's going on at the NJEA. So I didn't know if you wanted to continue with that.
Oh yeah, well actually, yeah, we can go to the next slide. But something I wanted to bring up too. You know Eric Simpkin.
Yes, Eric, help me with this.
Oh, okay. So we went to, there was an event in Philadelphia at the convention center, and NJEA was there, and it was all the whole teachers union were there, and we were on the corner and had a permit, and you know Eric, he brought a bullhorn and he's saying what he says, he's talking about stuff, and then they had the same the permit on the corner were people that were for it was for abortions. What is it? The Planned Parenthood. You know, and they were talking about abortions and stuff. And I brought my kids there. So when they showed up, I was like, you know what? I said, I didn't really want to use my kids for something, but I thought maybe this would be good. I wanted to explain to them what Planned Parenthood was about and what they were talking about. So I brought my son and my daughter up to them. I said, excuse me, because they were complaining that we were on the same corner as them, but they gave us both permits on the same corner. So I talked to my kids. I explained to them what they were there for. And I said, why don't you ask them? I'm going to go up and ask them a question. I said, you guys can just stand there. And I said, my kids are right here. They want to know what you're talking about. Like, why do you want to kill babies? And my son said, he's like, yeah, why would you kill babies? And they had no, I mean, they were shocked. And they were, well, no, that's not what it's about. I'm like, well, that's what you're saying. My daughter's like, yeah, you're talking about abortion that kills babies. Why would you do that? And I mean, it hit them hard. They didn't know how to respond until one of the managers of their little protest came up and screamed at me and Eric, because Eric was filming it. And, you know, and they said, get away from my people and all that stuff. But yeah, it's because these people have no justification for what they say. You know, they're just sick people that just don't care about life. And then when you have a child, actually, because they were children at one point, you know, so I'm sure they remember being a child at some point. We have a child come up and ask them that question. It just, boom, took the life out of their entire, you know, protest. So I just wanted to share that. So you can go to the next slide.
So the AG, the Attorney General, Matthew Platkin, seems to think that it is against LAD to notify parents that their child's transitioning. And the Attorney General and the rest of the state assumes that you will harm your child if you find out they're gender transitioning. So that's why they need to keep it from you, because parents are evil and they're the ones who will hurt their kids, not have love and compassion and try to help them with their issues. They think that you're just going to harm them. And so that's why it's state. That's our Attorney General. So it has to go up to a higher court. In general, I have here the people say, but it's really common sense says that socially transitioning is medical care, and the school should not be engaged in medical care for your children. And it's not mentally healthy for a child to lie to their parent and live a double life like that, like come home and be called one name and then go to school and be called another name. That is just not healthy. And then it puts teachers and other parents and children in position to lie to the parents. So like if my kid's calling this other kid some name, and now I got to lie to that parent, and like we live in very small communities here. Our schools are small. I'm going to eventually come across somebody and I'm going to call just like in the case that I told you about before, I'm going to call that kid the name that I think they are. And then the parent's going to say, huh, what name is this? Like we can't all lie. And then we have to go as far as like, what extent do we need to lie? Like if the child's being bullied because they're transitioning, we can't tell them because that's why they're getting bullied because they decided to be in the boys' bathroom and they're actually a girl. We can't tell them. If they write that name on a test, we have to hide the test from parents so they can't see it. Production programs, like if the kids want to play and you want to write down what the kid's name in the program, you can't put their name in the program. What about sports? What are you going to put on the back of their jersey? You can't put anything on the back of their jersey because they're lying about that. It gets to the point where it's ridiculous that we have to extend this lie. Like if they're going to give your kid a sporting award, what name are they going to call them? You're going to be sitting in the audience. You're not allowed to go there when your kid gets the award. It is not practical, this whole idea. And the point, I forgot I had this in the slide, 5756 is not mandatory. Your school does not have to have it. Even though, they think they do not have it. It's not mandatory. And many districts have started repealing. We have over 100 districts who've repealed it without penalty from the Attorney General. They think they'll get sued by the Attorney General and they won't. They can completely eliminate this policy if they want to. It is not mandatory.
This is one aspect of this is especially troubling to me. So not only are they putting these things in policy and trying to, again, push it as if it's mandatory, they're teaching children, not only in school, but in so many of the sexual books that I try to expose that are in schools. There's always something in there that says you don't have to tell your parents about this. Sometimes your family aren't the best people in your life. Then you have all the trans people saying will be your family. Your family is toxic, and they're putting these bricks in the wall. Right from pre-K, they're telling little kids your parents may have gotten your gender wrong at birth. They don't really know who you are, and they're building a wall between children and their parents right from childhood. And it's a deliberate breakdown of the family so that the government can become your daddy or some pedophile can take over your life. It's really sad, that they say it all under the guise of caring about children, and it's really just a terrible lie. So this mandatory, the fact that it has the impression that it's mandatory. New Jersey policies in general, when they're passed down from on high to these schools, are they just really guidelines? Are some of them are they all mandatory? Or like how do parents know what is and what isn't?
Well, so that was the reason why schools think it's mandatory is that was a screw up by Strauss SMA who wrote this policy. Usually you have somebody write the policy for you, and anyone who had used Strauss SMA's legal services to rewrite these policies, they were the ones who determined that it was mandatory. So everybody thought it was mandatory until we all figured out it wasn't. And it took a long time, and it's hard to get that out there. Your school board can drop this policy. They do not need to have it. And yet they do, because the legal eagles who they paid for this were the ones that gave them the wrong information.
That doesn't sound like an accident to me.
No, it doesn't.
Either they're incompetent or they're nefarious. Like,
one or the other. It doesn't look either way. Yeah.
But the ones that are teaching it and going by this policy, what's your thoughts? If do they know that it's not mandatory? The ones that want to teach it and do teach it. I think they know now since it went to court, and in court it was said that it was not mandatory. Like I had a lot of arguments with people, and I told them it wasn't mandatory, and so I pull up the transcript from the court where even the attorney admits, the attorney on the wrong end, not on our end. The non-parental rights attorney said, yeah, this isn't mandatory, this policy. So you could drop it. You just can't change the policy, but you can completely drop this policy. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the teachers that were like, okay, it is a policy, I want to teach it. Did they want to teach it? Because I know.
You mean, do they want to lie to parents? No, a lot of teachers are really uncomfortable with this. Most teachers, but the new ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The new ones that got indoctrinated in college, that they're indoctrinated in college, and
that's right.
Teachers, like who? I mean, I'm a common sense person. So if I was a teacher and they said, "Hey, you have to teach this," I would say, "What? I would tell every
You have
single
to lie to
parent.
the parents about their name, and you have to go through the
I
trouble.
would,
of
I would
hiding
call,
them.
I would personally call every single parent of a student that I have and say, hey, this is what they're trying to do. So I don't, but that's me. That's common sense. But I don't understand how it went on for a while and it's still going on. And parents don't know about it. Then what teacher would want to teach this? Well, yeah, that's a great idea.
You know,
Yeah.
these teachers are so afraid of their unions because the unions are put so much pressure on them, and it is so easy for them to ruin a teacher's life. Because I do know there are, and I'm sure you know more, Nikki, teachers who hate this stuff.
Yes.
But the reason this stuff has been allowed to take such a hold is because, like you said earlier, good people did nothing. They were afraid of losing their jobs. They need the money. They got so many years vested. They're 10 years or 8 years from retirement. I'm just going to ride this out. And everybody kept their mouths shut. And now we're in a situation where children are being brainwashed to the point that they don't even have a grip on biological reality.
Yes.
It's a very
Well, you
sad.
shouldn't be a teacher. You shouldn't be a teacher. Then you're a coward and you shouldn't be a teacher. If you're just saying I'm going to go along with this and let this happen is what I'm told because I'm afraid to lose my job. I went toe to toe with my union and I risked everything when I ran for Congress because I was running as a Republican. And I shut them down. I did everything I possibly could. And they tried to ruin me, but they couldn't because I fought. But my point is, if you're a teacher and you're teaching kids, there's no excuse that you can just say, all right, I'm going to just go with this and teach this stuff because you get into teaching because you care about children and you want to teach them. That's usually the point. I would say, so if you want to throw that out the window because you're afraid to lose your job, you have 8 years left of retirement, then no, you shouldn't be a teacher. You shouldn't be a teacher to begin with.
Yeah, but they're in a very paternal type hierarchy in their schools. Like it is like everybody's like you have the administration is like your daddy. It's not like a regular working relationship. It's like the teachers a lot of times are treated like children, like the children that they're teaching. So they don't really have the voice that other people have. I've just seen it myself. Like they don't really have the voice to do these things because they're in trouble about things all the time. So they don't have that structure where they can say no and then just quit and then forget about their pension.
Why not call the parents and say, hey, listen, here's
because they're afraid of losing their job. They get in trouble for everything.
It's all about being afraid, and that's the point. That's the point. When you still they're still just sitting there fearfully letting horrible things happen to children. Yeah. And I have school teachers in my personal life who I love to death, but all of them who believed that this stuff was wrong, they never did get together across the country. And all of them let horrible things still happen to children and continue to let bad things happen to children. And
a lot of them didn't want to believe it. I mean, even I said, well, did you look at the state standards? They don't even know. I said, well, have you read the state standards? And they're like, I've read it. I go, then you should know. Why don't you go read this? Oh, I didn't know it was like this. Oh, well, what do I know? My children don't even go to public school. I don't work in a public school. Don't you think that you should know what the policies are in your school?
Yeah.
You just don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I know, I understand people's problems, but I'm like Damon. I'm like, go ahead, ruin me. Like, I'm going to fight this. And I don't understand the mentality of sitting by watching children be brainwashed and saying, I need my paycheck. My paycheck is worth more than my integrity. I don't understand it.
And then it doesn't happen in some schools. It's not part of the curriculum. It's not part of anything. And then some of them quietly do it by like the state sex. I've been told by teachers by the state sex centers, they get that, they throw it right in the trash. They're like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I've heard that too. But
yeah, and a lot of people say it doesn't happen in my school. I was like, that's because you have really good teachers who were tossed in the trash can. And then there's going to be one point where you're going to get a new teacher and they're going to present this to your kids and you're going to be horrified.
Right. But it's not also always about, and that's totally true, but it's not always about the curriculum. So where it's in the curriculum, it wasn't always. It was only a few years ago that it wasn't in curriculum. It was just on the classroom bookshelf. It was just the teacher presenting it as like an extracurricular. It was in the library, being pushed. And then And that's when they were like, oh, well, who cares? It's not even in the curriculum when people pointed it out.
Yeah.
That was the argument. Who cares? And so everybody got comfortable with it being on all the bookshelves and all over the place, but not in the curriculum. And then they put it in the curriculum. And this is, again, they do it gradually so that you get used to the pain. And it's like this Machiavellian takeover of power structure. That's how you do it. Today you put on the yellow star. All right, you get used to that. Yeah, next thing you know, you're all going to move into this neighborhood. Oh, you get used to that. Hey, everybody jump on the train. That's how they do it. It doesn't all happen on day one. And these parents, these teachers, they did let it happen. A lot of them.
And I do let people know. Yeah, and I do let people know that if it's in the library shelf, it could end up as mandatory reading for your child.
Of course, and we have to wrap up the segment. There's 2 more left, but they're going to be very quick ones. But like I said before, my favorite quote from Edmund Burke: "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." That means women too. Obviously, that's just a quote. So the teachers out there, you need to step up. I mean, come on. I don't want to hear it that you don't want to lose your job. Numbers matter. So if you come together and do something, that's what a union is about. When the union comes together and if you all talk and say that this is wrong, then get together and do something about it. There's no excuse for me. That's all. I don't have that.
The union's all about it.
Yeah, I know. So,
right.
But we got to take a break, and we're going to go into the next segment, and I'll explain what it is. Well, it'll be a quick one, and then the last one is a very quick one. It's going to be Patriot Loser of the Week Award. So let's roll that.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hammer segment number 3. And I named this episode total from Everyday Tyranny in New Jersey, basically. But this is about everywhere. And it's the stuff that we talked about, too. So this segment is called From Classrooms to Communities, the HOA Power Grab. So if you give people a little bit of room to do something, they're going to do something bad. And if good people don't stand up and stop it, again, to my last quote that I said in the last segment, then it'll be allowed. People need to step up and do things. Now, this one, I had to just do this because it's my own personal pet peeve and war that I have in my HOA. So my HOA was like $198 a month when I moved here, which they cut their grass and they take care of their siding, if anything blows off and replace the roofs eventually, which they just did. But I joined the board, and as soon as I moved here, I got on the board. And I'm in construction. They wanted me there. They asked me a lot of questions, but they didn't listen to me at all. It's fine. I don't care. But then they started raising the rates. And then, but before they did that, they found out I was Republican. And there were a bunch of libs. So it didn't go over well. So when I put one lawn sign at the time when I believed in them, Senator Ed Durr, I had a rally here at my house with him, and I put a lawn sign out there to vote for Ed Durr. And it was just one lawn sign. That's it. And I have a big lawn out front. So one of the board members complained about it, and they said I had to take it down. So they threatened to fine me $70 a day if I didn't remove it. And I said, no, that's not happening. So I had to go and cite like 3 different Supreme Court cases and send it to them. So saying it's against my First Amendment right and all that stuff. And I shut them down. So the lawyer came back and he said, no, he's right. He can keep it there. So I said, okay, I respectfully decline, resign from the board because I'm not going to be part of a board like that. So then it comes up again. I had a Trump flag hanging from my balcony in my kitchen out there. You go out of my kitchen, there's a little balcony and they have stairs that go down to my yard. So I had a Trump 2024 flag that I put on the railing. So then they said I had to take it down because you can't have anything affixed to the outside. That's the HOA. That's what it is. You can't have anything affixed to the outside of your property. I'm like, well, what about wreaths on doors? What about people that put Christmas lights up around their house? But no, they had a problem with that. Obviously, you know why? Because Trump, Republican, all that. So I went far enough to say, okay, I can't have anything fixed to it. So I went, hey, you have those little projectors that you put in the lawn and it projects Christmas lights or Halloween stuff. Like it's projected inside your house. So I got a Trump 2024 projector projected on the side of my house. Even bigger.
You get it on Amazon? What?
Yes, I got it on Amazon. Yeah. So and they couldn't do anything because nothing is affixed to the side of the house. So they were mad at me about that. So now the next thing is they try to raise our rates. They raised them to $241 a month, and a lot of people were complaining. Now they're raising them to $285 a month, starting in January, with no reason for it other than they're saying that there's a new law that Governor Murphy signed in law about it's like inspections for condominiums and HOAs, and they said we have to raise it and pay for it. Now they have millions in the account. I was on the board, millions, and there's 260 units here. So it's townhomes and condos. So 260 units, and they have millions of dollars in the account. I've seen it. I was on the board. So why raise the rate? What are they doing with it? So I went in and I put a post on the Grand's Facebook page. And I basically said I'm writing as a concerned homeowner regarding the significant and unexplained rise of HOA dues over the past several years. In 2021, it was $198. Beginning in 2026, dues will now be $285, an increase of over 43% in just 5 years. During the same period, national inflation totaled about 22%, according to the Consumer Price Index. This means our HOA fees have risen nearly double the rate of inflation. So, and I cited under the NJSA 46 -B, 8B, all the laws, where they have to disclose all this stuff. So, I mean, double the rate of inflation. So again, then I had one of the board members, I'm not going to name anybody, came back to me and said they were disappointed in my post, and I said, well,
Of course.
I'm like, well, of course you are. And he hits me with, he said, are you even aware of the new condo mandate being imposed by the state? It's not optional. And he puts in capital letters, read it. And I'm like, well, I did read it. I got back to him. I said, I did read it. And it doesn't apply to us. It applies to associations that are steel framed and concrete and have underground parking garages. Nothing like a stick framed, like wood framed houses like this. So they're lying, and I caught them. So now they're all pissed, and now I get all the people in the association are all happy about it. They're obviously, I got a bunch of phone calls, a lot of responses on the Facebook page. So one person called me the Robin Hood of the development. I'm like, all right, we don't need to go there. But anyway, I had to get that out there. I had to get it off my chest because it really pissed me off. But at least it looks like I just saved everybody an extra $40-some a month, which everyone's hurting nowadays with this economy. So anyway, I'll let you guys go. Your thoughts, wherever you want to go with this. I don't care if you go to something else or whatever it might be, but have at it.
I mean, I could jump in. I mean, this is just another example of how much people truly love power. The No Kings protesters, you give them the slightest bit of power, even in an HOA, and they're going to go nuts with it. Nuts. I was in my aunt's development here. They have an HOA, and there was a workman at a house her friend's house, and he had his truck in a spot that she didn't like. And instead of walking up to him and saying, "Excuse me, could I trouble you to move the truck? We don't allow parking here," the very first thing out of her mouth was, "I am the president of the HOA, and your car is parked in the wrong spot." And it's like, this is like a 55 and over. I mean, this is just, this is like stuff that they made fun of on Seinfeld, because it's so real. You give people a little bit of power. And it's why we've come to accept so many rules and regulations in our lives, from the government and in our neighborhoods and in the schools and in every possible thing, because everybody likes when they get to like twist their little, knife into somebody with their power. It's a real testament to the depravity of human nature, that whole story you just told.
Well, yeah, well, that's the point. And Nikki, my whole point to tell that too was what I was saying earlier about the teachers need to step up. If you don't do anything about it, then you just go with the flow and say, "Oh, well, this is what it is." They're going to raise our rates again and complain about it on the side, but not do anything about it.
But their own union bullies them. Like they.
Yeah, well, they got to get up.
Their own union.
One union
Like
tried to bully me, and they
like they're losing their pensions, and their number one concern about the NJEA is making sure that drag queens come to the show and they learn about how drag is not crime. Like that's their major concern. In Palestine, they don't care about the teachers. Like it's a bizarre situation.
Yeah.
Well, the teachers, see, I told when I went toe to toe with my union, because they wouldn't support me when I ran for Congress, and I gave a speech at my union hall. I'm allowed to speak. It's called Good of the Order. They kept shutting me down, and I'm like, why can't I say this? They wouldn't allow me. So I went toe to toe with them, and all the guys that were there were probably about 300 members there at the time. So I said, "Okay, guys," I said, "obviously they're not going to let me speak." I said, "I'll be out in the parking lot. I'm leaving, and so I'll be waiting there for anybody who wants to talk." So about 60 members came up, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to get blackballed, this, that, and the other." I said, "You have to realize something." I said, "We go to work every day. We pay our union dues. That pays the business agent's salary. They don't work if we don't work. So they work for us. It's the same thing as government. We go to work every day. We pay our taxes because the government doesn't have money. It's our money that they have, and we pay their salaries. That's the way the whole system is set up. So you can't be afraid to buck the system when it's going too far south and it's going in the wrong direction. You need to step up and do something, and strengthen numbers works. That's how unions were built."
I mean, teachers gave up, practice and repetition for kids, knowing that was the number one way, because there was a new pedagogy fad to teach kids how to discover math. And then you don't really have to do practice and repetition anymore. And now everybody sends their kids to learning centers because the teachers didn't even have enough to stand up. And the one teacher that I did know just shut the door and did what she wanted, because she didn't want any trouble from the teachers, and the union wouldn't help. I mean, the administration and the other teachers and the union won't help them. So they're just not in that situation. The whole thing's like that. That's why their unions like that. That's why the administration's the way it is. They don't have any, they can't even protect themselves. They can't even protect themselves. So I don't see how that's going to change, especially when the majority of them apparently do believe in that, because they're still paying NJEA dues. They're still paying money. They paid millions of dollars for Sean Spiller to lose a primary. An obscene amount of money that they didn't agree to go to his political campaign. And only 2 teachers are suing the union over that. And a bunch of other ones, like, I hope they win, instead of joining the suit.
Well, any teachers out there, if you want to, you need help with grow pair, you can come on my podcast and we'll talk about it. I'll be the bad guy. I'll put my neck on the line for any of you. I can leave you anonymous and not say your name. If you need something to be done that you're afraid to go against your union, I'll be the person to do it. You just got to feed me the information. So
I mean, it's crazy that all these activists now are joining the teaching K through 12. Like it's amazing that they're doing that, since in general teachers are very meek. They're not out there trying to battle everybody. They just want to teach kids, most of them. And then the other ones who are there for, activism are there for a different type of activism. They're there for the activism that we don't want.
Yeah.
They're not. They're there to teach something else entirely.
Yeah.
And
Marxism. That's what they're there to teach. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not there to actually teach kids, reading and math and thinking and science. I don't know. I'm kind of with Damon on it. Like the reason that the teachers have no power in their union is the same reason that we American citizens have no power in our government. We sat back and we let it happen. And I am as much to blame for the disaster in Congress and the disaster at the local level in cities where I lived as any other American. We all were on autopilot, just saying, I'm just going to stay in my lane and focus on what I have to focus on. And meanwhile, they created a bazillion laws and rules and regulations that have, destroyed our country and our lives. And we're to blame. And we have to take responsibility for how bad things are. And we have to stand up and own it and fight for a better day. Even if we lose, I'd rather go down swinging.
Sure.
Yeah,
You're right about
but
that.
I think that you're born that way, not necessarily trained that way, that you'll only go down swinging. I mean, I was ready to fight everybody during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I was out walking around with a mask, fighting with 6'8" men in the parking lot of Lowe's because I wasn't wearing a mask. And he's walking towards me and I'm stepping towards closer to him. Like we're here toe to toe and I'm up. And I didn't care if he punched me in the face or not.
Yeah,
because I was not living like this and he was not going to bully me into staying at home or wearing a mask. I didn't care what he said. He was a surgeon, even though he's tattooed from head to toe. And I'm thinking, I don't know a whole lot of surgeons with all those tattoos, buddy.
Yeah.
Usually they don't. So I don't know. But, I didn't care. I walked in the Wegmans. I was harassed every day, yelled at. Of course, my husband did it and they didn't bother him one bit. Because you have different rules for women.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
So, and that's why the women in the schools don't fight. They're used to being, and I was just born this way. I'm not putting up with anybody's garbage.
You're right about that. You're right about there is a born with, but I think that even people who aren't born with it, if they're pushed far enough,
Yes.
Yeah.
It comes to them.
I don't know. I saw a bunch of Jews in Germany get on a boxcar and go right to the concentration camp.
Yeah.
People will do that. They'll just do that because they just want to go along to get along, even if against their own personal interest, even against their children's own personal interest. And I see that a lot in New Jersey. A lot of parents just would be happy to give their kid up to the state and let them raise them.
But it is like I said, if you read The Prince by Machiavelli, he outlines one of the ways to take over a society. And I gave a very, very simple example earlier. Like at first, you just start calling people names. They get used to that. They don't say anything because they want to go along to get along. Then wear the star, like I said. Then you go to the ghetto, And so it's like, you're just like, oh, I get used to this. Okay, nothing too terrible has happened yet. Okay, I'll get used to this. Nothing too terrible has happened yet. And then you get on the train because you think, okay, nothing too bad has happened yet. This will end soon. And it's a really good analogy for what has happened with the country, with teachers, and so that's why people don't fight, because they're the frog in the pot of boiling water. And when they got in the water, it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think the teachers are going to take care of it. I mean, parents don't even take care of it. Like everybody's just so complacent and so easy to say, you know what, as long as nobody's looking at me or fighting with me, I'm all right. They're not willing to stick their neck out there. And believe me, I've been attacked numerous times. I mean, the New Jersey Project is on, an anti-government list from the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Congratulations.
But it's strange when people see that, they know who I am. And then NJ.com writes this whole column, and I do have a different job than doing this. And NJ.com writes that I'm an anti-government activist, which is insane. I just want it not to infringe on my life. I'm not a radical, leftist. It was to burn down the government and tear down all systems,
No kings, but don't disagree with the government. Like,
right. Right. Exactly. But no, just when it's our guy, you listen to him. But when it's your guy, we're not listening to him.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we're up to the end. So we got segment 4, which is the Patriot and Loser of the Week Award. That's a really quick one that we're going to go through. So, but just everyone out there is want to let you know, I think we should have a part 3 to this too, because you can show some of the books that they're teaching as well, and have more of that in Atlanta. You're more than welcome to come back. I thought.
Oh, I've got a stack. I love to read those on the air. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you two.
I was going to have him read. I was going to have him read
hit it off.
It's just, which you probably know that one.
Which one was it? I couldn't.
Bluest Eye.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to read that. I'm actually glad. Maybe next time because
they put that on my son's reading list. He's reading Frankenstein instead.
Oh, yeah. I just read Frankenstein for like the 10th time. Great book if you haven't read it.
Yeah, it was a good choice.
I wasn't looking forward to reading that verbatim, but I'll do it next time. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We'll go to the Patriots and Loser Award.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our quick segment 4. This is where we do the Patriot and the Loser of the Week Award. So let's roll into the Patriots of the Week Award.
Jersey Shore Podcast present to you this week's Patriot Award. Damon Jr. and Gianna Marie.
Oh,
Go. There's pictures, you guys.
I got 10 awards actually. Second grade, I got 2 awards, and then I didn't really get much awards after that. Until 5th grade, I got 7.
All right.
And then 6th grade, I got 1 so far.
All right, show off.
Damon's got many awards because he's got a bunch of character kid awards, and then you can see.
Did he have the Soaring Eagle Award for leadership? He got there. So had to bring these guys in. They didn't know I was doing this tonight. So,
Congratulations, guys, on your Patriot Award too.
Good job, guys.
It's really great that your school does this. It's really nice. You have a nice community you're in.
Yeah, they have the Soaring Eagle. The one he just
gum.
got recently. He didn't know anything about it.
I'm stealing my
They're
dad's
stealing my
gum.
gum.
Oh, they're stealing your gum. I thought that was part of the award.
No, it wasn't. They just stole my gum. So, but
Thanks for the water.
yeah, it's funny. He didn't know about his teacher. Was like all like crying. I'm so glad he's getting it because they gave it at the BOE meeting. I'm sorry, and he was surprised. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. Now we got to go to something else real quick to wrap this up. All right, good job, guys. Good job.
I'm still doing
Congratulations, guys.
Thanks. All right, so then we're going to go through our Loser Week Award. Now he's gotten it. He got it a couple of weeks ago too, but it's more well deserved because he's still at it again. This guy, but let's roll with that.
Losers! 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 Ah, shut up!
Sorry, Steve, you're getting it again. You know, it's well deserved. The Steve Hankush Award, I actually initiated that. I made a little trophy. It's upstairs. I didn't bring it down. I didn't bother. But he's a leech on the ass of society. This guy, he really is. But he's at it again, starting trouble in the political world. So I got to give him a Loser of the Week Award again. So Steve, again, will let you know I do have your trophy. You can go pick it up anytime.
Who is he? What's he doing? I don't know who this guy is.
He's a quote unquote campaign manager, and he tanks campaigns. I think sometimes I think on purpose. I don't know if he's paid to do it. He's just not a very good person at all. He's slimy. I mean, I'm not the only one that would say it. There's multiple people that will join in with me and say the same thing. I don't know many people that like him, but he disappeared for about a year, and now he's starting to wheel his way back in. So I had to bring his name back up again and start the Steve Tank Kush Loser Award. So
Do you think he's watching this?
No, I'm going to send it to him. So, of course, I'll definitely send it to him. So, but he just got into it with he was trashing Assemblywoman, ex-Assemblywoman Beth Sawyer with Ed Durr. That kind of made me really mad at him doing the same thing. And then they called into the radio show. And you saw the clip.
Yeah, I saw it. It wasn't professional. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, we got to get together. I mean, but Steve, look.
Well, I mean, this is why Republicans don't win elections, right? Because if that's the way they treat each other, how are they going to,
Exactly. It's like, come on. It's like, really, it makes no sense to me. But especially ex-Senator Ed Durr and ex-Assemblywoman Beth. And Beth they were trashing her, and she called in. So none of it was professional or a good look for Republicans. But I know wherever Steve the Tank Kush is involved, things like this happen. So that's why I had to give him the Loser of the Week award again for probably the 50th time. And
it's a shame because Beth was a real champion for the kids. She went through and looked at the curriculum standards and looked at videos from amaze.com, which were really inappropriate. And she took that and was going to be a big proponent of, children's rights. And, all this infighting happened, and that was the end of her.
I don't think she's going away.
Yeah, I hope not.
For sure, I know she's not going away. She's coming back with something. I don't want to speculate or give anything away, but she's coming back. But Steve Tank Kush, you got to go. So he never held office, by the way. So he's just a one behind the scenes that just leeches off the ass of any candidates, and that's basically what he does. So anyone that's stupid enough to trust him. But all right, enough with Steve Tank Kush. Sorry, but guys, it was a great show. Or girls, I should. It was a great show. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you informing all the listeners about everything that's going on in New Jersey, and not just in New Jersey, but across the country. And right here, we're just bringing it up. This is the GoFundMe for Seth Eisenberg. Well, Jonah, but he goes by Seth, the middle name. Hospital bills are piling up for him. We've talked about millions of times. You guys know this. So anything you could donate, $5, $10, whatever it may be, or more. He almost lost his foot, and trust me, you don't even want to see what it looks like. So it's bad. But he's a great guy. He's one of our podcasters from the Conservative Corner, and I always talk about him. And I mentioned multiple times about going Seth because he's always angry about something. I'd be angry if my foot looked like that too. But there's his GoFundMe for Seth. But other than that, ladies, thank you very much again for joining me. It was a great conversation. It was awesome. So we should do a round 3 of this at some point. So
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Signing off. Have a good night.